Hello, welcome to Jason the Old Millennial. My name is Jason. Speaking to you here in my basement in the great state of Kansas. I come with you with another video on my top 100 favorite albums. This time we're in my top 40, so we're doing 40 through 31 on the list. Yeah, these are absolutely amazing albums, 10 out of 10. Some of these are my favorite album from that artist, so we're getting to that point where, yeah, we're getting to my favorite albums from my favorite artists of all time. Some of these are albums that are new discoveries. Some I discovered in the last year or so. Some I've loved for a while. There's actually 6 albums on here that weren't on my last list, so a lot of new albums that I've really fell in love with, put on this list. Yeah, so absolutely amazing list. Be real excited to talk about it and kind of reveal more of my list. Also check out SoundLab Studios. Scott, he did his top 100 and he just did his top 10, so he's done with his list. Definitely check out his list as he's finished that. Also Nick from Townsend 505, he has 3 more albums to talk about on his list. So I'm way behind them, so I'm trying to catch up and try to get these done hopefully quickly, and maybe I'll get done by the end of the year, we'll see. But yeah, hopefully enjoy this here on Jason the Old Millennial. Hello everybody, hope everybody's doing well here on a Tuesday night. I'm doing pretty good. The weather's chilly, but not too cold. It hadn't got too much freezing weather, luckily. Here, no more, haven't had any snow or anything, or freezing rain, luckily, yet. So still enjoying the weather for the most part. Yeah, having a good night, had a day off, just chilling at home. And yeah, I gotta bring one of these videos to you. So let's start with number 40 on the list. This is actually a new discovery for me in the last year, and that is Glass Houses by Billy Joel. This came out in 1980. This is, right now, my favorite Billy Joel album, though I haven't listened to all of his albums. I listened to a handful, and yeah, absolutely love this album. When I heard it, I was like, holy cow. This has like 3, I want to say, big hits on it, and then a couple really incredible deep cuts. And I love Billy Joel. I love the piano playing is so good, of course. His vocals. I love the singing, songwriting. Great songwriter. Yeah, I've always been a pretty big Billy Joel fan. Never really delved into his albums till recently. I've been kind of delving in. In fact, on SoundLab Studios, I believe it's SoundLab Studios, we're going through all of Billy Joel's albums. We just did Cold Stone Harbor, which I don't think actually hasn't aired yet. I think it's going to air on Saturday. So or not this Saturday, but next Saturday or something like that. I think January 4th or something like that, it's going to air. So still got a little while before that airs. I guess we're doing the videos and then they're going to air after we get them done and he edits them. But yeah, we've done that. We're going to do Piano Man, actually. I think tomorrow we're going to talk about Piano Man. Again, it won't be, I guess it's not a live stream, so we won't get that for a little while. But yeah, so I'm now getting through all Billy Joel's albums. But yeah, this was one that, and my friends are very big fans. Scott and Nick, huge fans of Billy Joel. So they're the ones that really recommended me this album, Glass Houses. It was one I needed to get to. So I listened to it this last year. Man, I loved it. It has a couple pretty big hits on it, like I said. Actually, about 2. It only had about 2 big hits on it. Now look at it. It starts off with "You May Be Right," which is one big hit, which is a really fun, upbeat song. Really enjoy the song. One of my favorite on the album. Very catchy. Also, it's Still Rock and Roll. It's another big hit on the radio. That he plays a lot anyway. So really good numbers there. But then I guess I would say the deep cuts are my favorite on the album. I would say, again, I don't have the album, so I can't say every one, but the ones I pointed out, my favorite song, one of my favorite Billy Joel songs I've discovered is "All for Lena." What an incredible kind of piano rock song. I mean, incredible melody, and man, that chorus is so good because he's going through the verse, whatever, and then he gets up to the chorus, all of a sudden the piano goes da, 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 like really fast piano playing. Da, 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 and it's all for Lena, all for Lena. Like, I love how he sings that. Bum, 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 bum. It's all for Lena. I mean, incredible vocals, super catchy chorus. Love the piano playing. Piano playing's amazing. There's one part where he's singing and he sings like something and he says stop, and then he stops playing and there's like silence for like 1 second and he starts it again. So that was so cool to say stop and then actually stop playing and then come back. So it's a really well done, cool, arranged song overall. But one of the catchy songs I've heard from Billy Joel, and definitely probably a top 10 Billy Joel song for me right now. And crazy, it wasn't like a huge hit. I never heard it on the radio, but man, All for Land is so good. Also, Sleep with the Television On is a really good song too. It's an interesting title too, but it's another deep cut that I was like, wow, I really like the song. One of my favorite on the album. Also, Don't Ask Me Why. It's another super catchy kind of pop song on the album, and another just great chorus. Again, just it's one of those albums where, man, it's just like he was hitting on all cylinders. Rock songs, pop songs, ballads, they all were hitting just right on this album. So I have Glass House is here, number 40 on the list. Number 39, I have this album. This is my favorite Phil Collins album, and I had 3 on the list, and that is But Seriously, which I didn't write down where this is. I think this is probably like his 4th album maybe on the list. I already had 2 of his, the No Jacket Required's the big one. Also, his first album's debut I also had on the list, which I'm forgetting on top of mine. I think I have it over here. Let's see. Sorry. Yeah. Face Value. Yeah, sorry. I had Face Value already on the list. Yeah, and those 2 are amazing and probably more popular picks. But yeah, I found myself loving this even more. But seriously, it has a couple. Does have some pretty big hits on her. But man, I just love his, again, just a great pop singer. It's kind of more easygoing, I suppose, pop kind of singing. So some people, I feel like he gets a lot of hate for that. But man, I love it. I love the easy listening, adult contemporary type music. But yeah, some very catchy melodies and choruses. And I just love his singing. He just sings with so much passion on his songs. But this is one that has some of his big hits on it that I absolutely love. And just about every song is really great on here. I'd say my favorite song is Another Day in Paradise, which again was another big hit of his. Definitely one of the top 10 favorite song of his. When you get that, I just love the overall, the instrumentation, the kind of the overall melody. Bum 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 bum. I love that. It's so great. And then he just kills on vocals, and then you get that chorus. You and me, another day in paradise. Oh, think twice. So catchy. Amazing song on here. But yeah, it's a big one. I Wish It Would Rain Down is another fairly big hit of his. I know I've heard on the radio, but another one where he just absolutely kills it, I wish it would rain down on me, whatever. Another one which he actually kills on vocals. That's Just the Way It Is, I think might have been a hit. I'm not sure. It's a song that's another favorite of mine. That's Just the Way It Is. Another just great pop song. Do You Remember might have been a hit too. Do you remember? It's really good vocals. Again, really belts it out on that one. But also ones I wasn't as familiar with, I really loved Something Happened on the Way to Heaven is a great kind of ballad song. Also Colors, another great song on here. But yeah, it's full of just great hits. If you like pop music, very easy listening, pop and ballads, and again, Phil Collins is just so good at it, really making you feel the emotions of the song. So yeah, I'm a huge Phil Collins fan, one of my favorite artists of all time. So definitely my favorite album of his, had to be up here. So here it is at number 39, But Seriously. At number 38, this is my second favorite Eagles album. Again, Eagles is one of my favorite bands, and I only have like one of their albums at the moment. I need to get more of their albums because I've had 3 of their albums, I think, on my list. And yeah, this is one of these nights at number 38 on my list. This came out in 1975. Yeah, absolutely amazing. Has a couple of has 3 incredible hits on here. I mean, wow, it's like this had to be high on the, just because the 3 hit songs on here are some of the best Eagles songs, some of my favorite songs of all time. It's hard to say what's my favorite. I'd have to go with Take It to the Limit, probably is my favorite on here. Man, the harmony, again, the Eagles, I love them for the harmonies and the melodies again. And yeah, just so much Henley and Fry. And then I believe this is Mesner singing Take It to the Limit, the bass player, which you forget that Randy Meisner or whatever is a really good tenor singer. He doesn't, I don't think lead sing a lot, but when he does, it's like, wow, this is like your third, it's like your third option, and he's really good. It's like there's like no bad options on this in this band. But yeah, take it to the limit one more time. Oh my gosh, the music is amazing. The string arrangement on there as well. It's just a really nice, just one of those really nice harmony songs. Very catchy. Anyways, you also have One of These Nights, the open or the title track and the opening of it. Another just absolutely amazing song. These are all like top 10 like Eagles songs on one album. That's why I had to be on here. Um, I say fairly high, number 30 on my list, but there's just so many good albums to go through. It's like, wow, this is amazing. This is only number 38 on the list. But yeah, one of these nights, one of these cold nights. I love the backing vocals when he's singing, one of these nights, and the harmonies and the really high harmonies and the backing vocals are so good. It's what makes Eagles one of my favorite bands, and what makes them so unique, I think, is that backing vocals and the high harmonies that they can do. Kind of like the Beach Boys do that as well, but man, so good. And then you got Lion Eyes, another absolutely amazing hit of theirs. Super catchy, great melody, amazing. But you also got some pretty good songs that I don't think are as, well known. Hollywood Waltz, again, great song. After Thrill's Gone is a pretty good rocker. I forget sometimes the Eagles can do rock music. They are more known for their kind of more country pop ballads, but they're kind of known as kind of country rockish. But anyways, After Thrill's Gone, pretty good rock song as well. And then I Wish You Peace and Life Goes On are some good ballads as well, from what I remember. And yeah, it's just one of those albums, like every song is really great. And the real great ones are just some of the greatest. So that's why it has to be here. Number 38 on my list, One of These Nights by the Eagles. Number 37, this is my favorite Kinks album, which was, I kind of surprised people on my favorite Kinks albums because my top 3 favorite Kinks albums are low on most people's lists. I don't know why. I just love their sound. And the real high ones are still pretty good for me, but not as high as these. But number 1 favorite Kinks album, which comes out number 37 on my list, is Sleepwalker, which comes out in 1977. So this is after their big, period of the 60s into the 70s. And then they had their really bad theatrical period. And then this is like right after their theatrical period. They started making some of their best music in my opinion. Like Think Visual is my second favorite album of theirs that came after this one even. But yeah, Sleepwalker, man, it's just an underrated album. When I heard this album, I was like, wow, this is my favorite Kinks album, which is my surprise. Like everybody like, what, Sleepwalker? No one thinks about this or talks about it. Doesn't have any big, huge, hits necessarily. But man, it's a good, just solid rock album. I think it's a great 70s rock, kind of catchy, poppy rock album. I'd say overall, yeah, like 3 of the songs are like in my favorite like songs of all time. Oh, I made a mistake. I wrote Life Goes On One of These Nights. Life Goes On is not on that album. It's on Sleepwalker. I totally messed it up. I'm looking at my notes and I wrote on the wrong line. Life Goes On is on Sleepwalker album, not One of These Nights. Life Goes On is my favorite song from the Sleepwalker album. Just incredible, kind of easy listening pop song, but man, it's just the music. It's just the melody is so great. It's super catchy, and it's just talking about life going on. After tough times, life goes on. So it's kind of a pretty, and Kinks do this every once in a while. They write a really good kind of uplifting, kind of encouraging song like this, and I love it. But I just love that chorus. Life goes on and on and on. But even just the verses are so good. I mean, just super catchy melody. I love the guitar and bass behind it. So good. Again, not a big hit of theirs, but it was like a top 5 favorite Kinks song of all time for me. Absolutely love that song. Life Goes On. Definitely have to check that one out. Anyways, but yeah, Sleepwalker, the title of the album, that song is also a super catchy rock song. That's one where I first heard, I was like, wow, this is so catchy. Again, why aren't these big hits? I don't get. But yeah, I'm a sleepwalker, night stalker. And I even I love how the verse, like, you have Ray Davis singing like in a regular kind of tone of voice. and then I'm guessing like Dave Davis or somebody singing like a high tenor like above him during the verses, and it's really cool. Like it's a great sound. He's like, every night when people sleep, and I get up and I start to creep, and just the two voices together are so cool. They sound so great. It's just a really catchy melody overall. But yeah, incredible song. Again, and it was a top 10 favorite King song of mine as well. Sleepwalker in here. Besides that, also Brother, I thought was actually a really good ballad on here. One of the more ballads on here. I said most of them are pop songs and rock songs, and Brother's maybe the only ballad that's on the album, if I remember right. And it was pretty decent. Jukebox Music, really great rock song as well. One of the probably the most rocking songs on the album. Like Kinks aren't necessarily like a huge heavy rock band. They're a little more popish rock, but yeah, Jukebox Music, great guitar playing. Dave Davis, very underrated guitar player. When I listened to the Kinks, man, especially during this period, I was like, wow, Dave Davis is really putting out some really good rock guitar solos and riffs, and doesn't really get talked enough about. But Stormy Sky, another absolute favorite of mine from the Kinks, my third favorite song on the album, and another song that's in I know my top 25. But it's another one, man. It's just so easy listening, kind of rock pop. Under the stormy skies. Oh, it's like when they get into that chorus, the voices sound great together. And it's just a really nice, easy listening kind of song, to be honest. It's super catchy and just so easy to the ears. I don't know how to say describe it better than that. But yeah, I love Stormy Sky. Also, Sleepless Nights, really good on here. But yeah, overall, 10 out of 10, of course, album. Just absolute masterpiece album. One of the most underrated albums of all time, Sleepwalker, at number 37 on the list. Number 36, album I have. This is my second favorite Paul McCartney solo album. And that's Chaos and Creation in the Backyard. And this came out in 2005. So, man, I'm absolutely loving these albums that came kind of later when he got into like his 50s and 60s. He's putting out some killer albums. I was like, wow, some of this stuff's better than what he's putting out in his 30s, when he first, went away from the Beatles and started a solo career. There's some absolute incredible ones there too, but like it was incredible that as he aged, it's like he almost got better as a singer-songwriter in some senses to me. But yeah, oh man, what an absolutely amazing album. It's one of those again where it's like, man, every song is like really good to really great, and just a lot of variety of types, piano songs. There could be some piano ballads, there could be guitar ballads, there could be some more upbeat piano pieces, some more rocking songs on here. But yeah, I remember this came out, of course, 2005. I was, out of high school and I was in college and in my early 20s. And yeah, I remember when this was coming out, it was like, oh, a new Paul McCartney album. Yeah, I definitely got to check this out. And I don't know, I'm guessing my sister probably bought it and I borrowed it from her because that's usually what happened because I didn't really buy a lot of CDs at the time. But I remember listening to it and just like, wow, this album is amazing. Like, and even now, almost 20 years later, I think it's going to be 20th year anniversary, I guess. It's still like, I listen and go, wow, it's so amazing. And I don't know if any of these songs are probably talked about a lot in his discography or as being some of his greats, but it's just a lot of solid, like I always feel like the highs on some of his other albums are higher than on this album, but this album is just one of those cases of it's just solid, really good throughout. And so that's why it's so high on my list. Because I listen to every song and go, yeah, this is good, this is good, this is good as I get to each one. But not any big hits on here, like I said, because it's hard to say. Once you get kind of older as a musician and it's in the 2000s, it doesn't feel like you get really big radio hits necessarily. They kind of, I don't know, Paul McCartney has more hard time getting big hits, even though he's a huge name after the 80s period, I would say, maybe. My favorite song on here is a song called This Never Happened Before. And again, I don't know if many people have heard this song, but this is one of the catchiest Paul McCartney tunes and one of my favorite songs of his. But yeah, just super catchy. I just love the melody and how he rhymes everything. And just, I'm very sure this never happened to me before. Like, oh, I love how he does that. And I'm very sure this never happened before. This never happened. Oh man, it's so catchy, the chorus and the overall verses, and there's a good string arrangement behind it. So I love the strings in here. Always love strings when they add it to songs like this, and it's really amazing. Paul McCartney song. I did hear it in a movie once, a Keanu Reeves Sandra Bullock movie, and not, of course, not Speed, but they did another romantic comedy during this time, actually, that probably came out this year. Uh, I forget the name of it. It's like something. It had a house in the name of the title, and I saw it in the movie theater. And I remember seeing, and the song came on. I was like, "Oh my gosh, this Paul McCartney, one of my favorite Paul McCartney songs, came on." That was really cool. But anyways, but yeah, that's a great song. Anyway, the closer, another amazing. I mean, gosh, how many amazing piano songs can Paul McCartney write? Every album, it's like, wow, he did it again. He wrote an incredible piano kind of ballad piece. Anyway, another amazing piano kind of power ballad. I don't know, uh, where there's great string arrangement and just that chorus. Anyway, oh, it's a beautiful song that ends the album. Anyways, these actually the last two songs of the album are my two favorite right here. But yeah, a lot of cool stuff here. Fine Line, I feel like it was the one that he promoted the most, and maybe people might have heard, because I remember when this album came out, and he would play for the Tonight Show or something. This would be like the song, so I'm guessing they were trying to hit this as the big hit. It's a good, very more fast-paced piano piece, very good and catchy and all that. Jenny Wren, love Jenny Wren, a great acoustic ballad. And I always said if I ever had twin daughters, I would name them Penny Lane and Jenny Wren. That was always my dream. If I had like twin daughters or something like that, because it'd be Jenny and Penny, because they would rhyme, and then they'd be two songs written by Paul McCartney. I always thought that'd be cool. But Jenny Wren, really good song as well. English Tea is a real fun song. I mean, it's all about English tea is different and better than any other kind of tea, of course, because he's from England. But it's another really fun piano piece that he does. Yeah, and again, I think if I remember right, there's some good cello playing in here as well. Yeah, it's a non-serious song. It's just about English tea, but yeah, I really like it. It's very fun. Too Much Rain is one of the more emotional songs I would say he does, where it just seems like a lot of emotion behind it. It seems like a song about going through hard times, and too much rain kind of being the the metaphor or whatever for hard times, and kind of encouraging getting through that. Too much rain anyway. So yeah, great, another great, just nice ballad. Follow Me, another great acoustic, more ballad type song on here. He says, I remember him talking about the song, and he says that he was inspired by George Harrison, or he thought of George Harrison when he wrote the song, which I don't know exactly what that means, but I think that's cool when he said that. Like, he thought this was a song that George Harrison might write, so he's trying to write a song kind of in his style in some senses. But yeah, really catchy kind of ballad song, acoustic guitar, more strumming. But yeah, those are some of my favorites. But yeah, overall, just an absolute, there's really other great songs on here, but obviously, yeah, my second favorite Paul McCartney album, definitely one you have to check out if you're a Beatles fan or a Paul McCartney fan. I would say somewhat underrated too, but yeah. Chaos Creation in the Backyard, number 36 on my list. Number 35, we're getting to my second favorite John Denver album. And considered one of his greats. And this is Rocky Mountain High, here at number 35 on the list. Came out in 1972. One of his earlier albums, I want to say. I don't know if I'm guessing it's like maybe third or fourth album that he did. And of course, it has one of the biggest hits of all time. Rocky Mountain High, the title song. Yeah, it's probably maybe again one of the most well-known songs that he's known for, and is like basically the state song of Colorado. Yeah, of course, you got Country Roads off the Poems of Prayers and Promises album, which is the West Virginia state song, and it's probably the one he's most known for, either that or Rocky Mountain High. Anyways, yeah, absolutely amazing hit on his. And like John Denver is the only person I know that has written two songs that are state songs, which is kind of cool. But yeah, Rocky Mountain High, so catchy. And I love the guitar, the acoustic guitar playing is so good. And then the Colorado Rocky Mountain High, bump, 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 bump. I see it raining fire in the sky, bump, 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 bump. And then a casual goodbye, Rocky Mountain. Vocals so good. Love John Denver's voice here, and love his when he sings about nature. He's so good, anyways. But actually, my favorite song on here is "Goodbye Again." "Goodbye Again" is such another, I think, hit of his. It's just a heartbreaking song. That's why I love it. The writing is so good. Some again, love the songwriting here, but love that it's about kind of about him and the fact that he has to leave his wife to go, tour and go play concerts like that. And he's saying to his wife, "It's goodbye again. I'm sorry to be leaving you, but it's goodbye again. And if you didn't know, it's goodbye again." Why? And then I love why do we always have to fight when it's time to go? Ah, man, so heartbreaking. Really kind of captures. Of course, he would get divorced from his wife. They would, and why rock musicians usually go through divorces, and actors and people in the entertainment business, because they're constantly gone, leaving to do sorry, entertain people. They're constantly gone doing that, while their loved one is left behind, and they feel abandoned. And it's just a sad thing. And I think he captures that. I don't experience that because I'm not a famous entertainer. I work close to home and I'm home every night, so I don't experience that. But I can only imagine that would be very heartbreaking. And yeah, and just him writing about, he doesn't want to, I love when he writes about like, man, the best times is when I'm laying in bed with you basically, and I'm in your arms. Like, those are the greatest times. But yet I have to leave, and and he says, I have to go talk to people. I have to talk to strangers I've never met, meaning these fans, but that's what he loves to do. And that's what he goes, and he chose that. It's one of those things, like, you either choose your career or your family, nothing against John Denver there, but that's just something that happens to entertainers, and you choose your career and then you lose your family. It's a very hard thing to have to go through. And he captures it so beautifully on this song. Yeah, those are two of the bigger hits on here. Prisoners, really great song, super catchy. Love his vocals on there as well. And there seems like there's multiple vocals in that one. That's just, I don't know if that was a hit song, but it should have been. It's so catchy. One of my favorite of his as well. Also, Mother Nature's Son, a really good cover song of the Beatles. Of course, written by Paul McCartney on the White Album. One of my favorite songs on the White Album. We just covered the White Album again on Jacob Martin's channel, and I believe that was like number 4, my 4th favorite song on that album. Yeah, I love Mother Nature's Son. I still prefer Paul McCartney's version over John Denver, though I've heard a lot of people now say John Denver's version is better. John Denver's version is really good, though. Like, I have to admit, like, he does a really good version of the song. So that's really cool when you get because you never know, if you get a cover song, it's like, did they do justice? Did they make it their own? And it's like, yeah, John Denver did a good job making his own kind of, and still being really good. But yeah, every song is really good on here. I mean, for Baby for Bobby is also Darcy Farrow. Really good stuff. And then to cap it all off, the last 4 or 5 songs is called The Season Suite. Basically the whole second side of the album, and they all kind of connect, and they all deal with the days or the seasons of the year. You start with summer, and then it goes into fall, and then it goes into winter, then late winter, early spring, and ends with spring. So the names of the songs, it's all under the suite. So it all kind of flows together as like one song, but it's like 5 different songs basically. And it's so cool. It's such a cool idea, of course. And John Denver's so good, again, talking about nature and stuff like that. So he's talking about, going through the seasons and nature and stuff like that. And overall, like, especially like the summer and then the spring, like, as this overall kind of chorus that goes throughout those songs. That's really great. Love the chorus on there. But just a really cool, and that's what makes this album so cool and unique, is that suite is like, wow, it's so cool getting this whole, kind of, like, one of them is like more instrumental even. So it's like a mini, like, I don't know what to say. It's a mini musical, like, within the album, which is really cool. But yeah, definitely why it's one of my favorites here. Rocky Mountain High, number 35 on my list. All right, 34, let's get some vinyl out. And we're going to go to one of my favorite bands I've been talking about quite a bit on the channel, and that is A Night at the Opera by Queen, here at number 34 on my list. And this might surprise you, this is my 3rd favorite Queen's album, because for most people, it's their favorite Queen's album, and considering what's on this album, you would think it's mine, but it's actually my 3rd favorite. But again, like their top 4 albums are just absolutely amazing. Top, all 10 out of 10 albums, um, in my opinion. And yeah, it has my favorite song from Queen. One of my favorite songs of all time, Bohemian Rhapsody. I mean, come on, so iconic. I always tell the story, like I remember watching Wayne's World for the first time, and this song came on, and I was like, "Oh, this is a cool song for the movie," not knowing it was a Queen song. I didn't know. I probably didn't know who Queen was at the time because I was pretty young when Wayne's World came out in the early '90s. And I know that song. I mean, that movie probably, up the legend of Bohemian Rhapsody, made it another favorite for anybody of my age. I think that saw that movie fell in love with Bohemian Rhapsody because that's one of the best moments in that movie. One of the great comedies, I think, of all time, Wayne's World. But yeah, it's hard. It's just so awesome. The arrangement of that song from being this really pretty ballad. I love the piano, the bum 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 bum. I mean, what a cool piano to start it with Freddie Mercury on piano, and he's going through the. It's kind of. I always kind of laugh because the lyrics are kind of funny. They're a little strange, I just killed a man, put a gun to his head, pulled the trigger, now he's dead. Like, what? What's going on? Mama, I just must just begun, but now I threw it all away. So it's like, what is this song about? But man, I love that first part. The ballad is really great. And then we pick up to the opera part. It's so fun. It's so crazy, and it worked because it's so crazy. Scaramouche, Scaramouche, can you do the fandango? Bolts of lightning, very, very frighten me. Galileo, 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 Figaro. Go. I mean, it's crazy. It's insane. Yeah, it's so awesome. It's so fun to sing to and listen to. And then it goes right into an incredible guitar solo by Brian May. And it's just incredible. All of a sudden, it's this really cool rock song where the guitar and the drums really come in. And then at the end, we go back to the ballad. Anywhere the wind blows doesn't really matter to me, or something like that. Anywhere the wind blows, and then we get a gong. Just so epic. One of the most epic songs of all time. Again, it's like a top 10 favorite song for me. From them, it's so cool and unique and awesome, and why Queen is one of the greatest bands of all time. But yeah, so yeah, being my favorite song, yeah, it's not my favorite album, but it's pretty close to it. But yeah, so many good stuff on here. Like I said, that's a huge hit on the album. The other song, my favorite, actually my second favorite Queen song is also on here. So this has my 2 favorite Queen songs. And my favorite pop song from them, that is You're My Best Friend. You're My Best Friend is such a catchy pop song. The doom, 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 the doom, 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 doom. Oh, I love the music. And then You're My Best Friend, ooh, ooh, making it real, or something like that. I'm forgetting exactly the lyrics, but you get the drift. But man, the backing vocal is so good, and yeah, Freddie Mercury. It's like, man, you listen to this album and you go, oh yeah, this is why Freddie Mercury is the greatest front man of all time. I mean, his vocals are just so amazing. He can sing like a crazy song like Bohemian Rhapsody. He can sing amazing rock songs. He can sing a great ballad. He sings a great pop song. And my friend, You're My Best Friend. Love his vocals, always amazing. I mean, the guitar solo, it's not a big rock. Like I said, it's a pop song, yet it has an amazing guitar solo in it as well. So it's like, wow, Queen's just hitting on all cylinders on these songs here. This to me is like their peak period. These 70s era, kind of mid 70s era of Queen. But yeah, love that. I Love in My Life. What a great love song. Kind of piano ballad from Freddie Mercury. Again, it's like, man, you have so many different types of songs on here. But yeah, Love of My Life. Bum, bum, bum. Great melody. Take it back, take it back. Oh, beautiful song. Love that one. Actually, 39. 39 is a really good deep cut. Not sung by Freddie. I believe it's sung by Brian May, maybe. And he has a couple of real good songs in here, and this is one of them, 39. Man, a great like pop song, again, with great harmonies in it. Very catchy. A very underrated song, 39. Actually, like I'm in Love with My Car, which is sung by the drummer. Here we got like the only person who doesn't sing is the bass player, Deacon. And I should say Deacon wrote My Best Friend, You're My Best Friend, which Deacon writes some of my favorite songs in the band. Like "You're My Best Friend." I can talk more about that song, but it's just so it's the whole idea is like your wife being your best friend. It's a nice sentiment, you know. Um, and lyrically just really nice, really nice lyrics about your wife, you know, being your best friend and saying, you know, you're my best friend, you know, you're my one and only or something like that. And all the I'm trying to remember some of the lyrics. I love the lyrics on that song as well. Anyways, going through, I'm in love with my car. Yeah, the drummer writes and sings the song, and it's pretty good. It's a kind of a fun rock song about your car. He loves his car. He wrote a song about loving his car, and yet it works. It's like on paper, I'm like, no way the song works. And I'm like listening, going, I'm kind of liking it. I'm in love with my car. Like he really puts a lot into it. Yeah, I actually kind of enjoy that. And then I have to talk about the Prophet song. Like, how do you have two long epic songs on one album? Like, I don't understand how they came up with that idea, but I'm like, it's like, wow, you already got Bohemian Rhapsody on here, and now you're gonna put the Prophet song, which is another just absolutely kind of crazy, out there type song. Incredible rock song with a lot of unique studio tricks in it. There's one part where they kind of almost go a cappella and they do this like little round with now I know, now I know, now I know. And he goes on and it just repeats itself. And it's such a cool, one of the coolest things I've ever heard. I'm like, how did they do this? Like, this is a cool studio kind of, I want to say trick or whatever they did to it. It's such a cool part of that song that comes later in the song. But overall, it's just an incredible long rock song that almost, you know, is on par with Bohemian Rhapsody. So yeah, that's why this album is number 30. I've talked a lot about this album because yeah, it's an absolutely amazing, epic album. One of Queen's best. Number 34 on my list, A Night at the Opera. And number 33, I'm going with my second favorite Simon Garfunkel album. Nice Parsley, Sage, Rosemary, and Thyme. See, this is the third album out of 5. And it's like the first album was pretty cool. It's a little different. It's very acoustic. I mean, it's very minimal in its production value. And the second album has a couple more. Like first album has Sounds of Silence, but it's not even the big hit Sounds of Silence. The second album, Sound of Silence, has the big hit on it. It has a couple big hits on it, and definitely it's getting better. Paul Simon's really kicking all cylinders. And then you get this album, and it's just like, wow, what a masterpiece album. It's crazy. This was on my list last time, but it was pretty low. But then this last year or two, I really fallen in love with this album. It's being one of my favorite here. Of course, it's almost my top 30 here. I believe Breyer's Music Showcase bought me this album a year or two ago, maybe 2 years ago for Christmas. And so, and I should say, Night at the Opera was bought by Scott from Soundlight Studio. So thankful to my friends for buying me these albums. Absolutely love them. But yeah, definitely has some big hits on here. My favorite's Homeward Bound. Again, probably top 5 favorite Simon Garfunkel album. Love that since I was a kid. I remember hearing that on the radio and just absolutely loving that. But of course, the harmonies, I love that, you know, and just the melodies and even the lyrics are pretty, just so coolly written. And the factories, and the build up from the verse to the chorus. And then I long to be homeward bound. I wish I was homeward bound. Home, all my thoughts escaping home. And silently for me. But yeah, I love the harmony between Garfunkel and Simon. So good on here. Whole album, they just sound so good together. And why they're, in my opinion, the greatest duo of all time. This came out in 1966, by the way, so mid-60s album. Definitely was during their peak period, I would say, where they're coming up with some of their best stuff. But yeah, Homeward Bound, huge hit for them. My favorite on here. Also love Scarborough Fair, the opener. Man, again, one of the best harmony songs of all time. I mean, they harmonize the whole way through. And man, it's one of those songs where, man, you hear it and you're just like, oh, it sounds so good to the ears, that harmonies, those two together. Garfunkel with his high tenor voice, Paul with like his mid tenor voice, whatever. Yeah, just, and they do this like round again, like one of them singing one thing and the other one's singing a different thing, and yet they match up. That's why I love it. It's like I always said, like when I got this album and I heard that first song, Scarborough Fair, I was like, okay, you guys are just saying to everybody, we're the greatest duo of all time, and you're not gonna top this. Scarborough Fair is like, yeah, no one can do what they can do with that song. It just sounds so amazing, and so Simon and Garfunkel, why they're so great is they do a song like that, and you're like, yeah, I've never heard anybody do a song like this. It's just so amazing. One of my, again, top 10 favorite Simon Garfunkel songs as well. And then you got 59th Street Bridge song, Feeling Groovy. Just a groovy song. Just a laid back kind of, against, this is like folk rock type song, and this album is. But we know it's Feeling Groovy because feeling groovy, do-do-do-do-do-do. Feeling groovy. Oh, great melody. Again, sounds so great together, so catchy. Love that song as well. An underrated song here for Emily, Wherever I May Find Her. It's a really great ballad type song where Garfunkel really takes the lead here. And again, I think Garfunkel, I kind of like his voice slightly better than Simon because he has this incredible tenor voice. Of course, we'll hear it on Bridge Over Troubled Waters. Sometimes when he sings solo, he sounds really good. And I've never checked out Garfunkel's solo albums. I always wanted to because I think he's a great singer. But yeah, this is another For Emily, Wherever I May Find Her. Great ballad on the album. Should have been a bigger hit for him. Also love Cloudy, super catchy. Cloudy, cloudy. Like I love how they do those runs on it. Really great song. Another really easy listening song. The Dinging Conversation is amazing as well. I couldn't write every song I liked on my list, but I have the album here. So I did want to mention 7 O'Clock News / Silent Night. Such a great closer to the album. I mean, it's a great opener closer, but so cool. It's Silent Night. They're singing Silent Night, which is great on its own. But over the Silent Night, they're playing news, people like a news audio of, tragedy, kind of tragic things that have happened in the past. So it was really cool. That's the 7 O'Clock News part of it. Silent Night. And every Christmas, I feel like I hear a version of the song where they play audio from, news things, big news events. I think it's such a cool idea, and it really works on the album. But yeah, if you're a huge Simon Garfunkel fan, this got to be on your list. And I love Simon Garfunkel. So we got Parsley, Rosemary, and Thyme, number 33 on the list. All right, number 32 on the list. Favorite Buffalo Springfield album, which isn't saying much because there's only 3 albums, but this album really rose up my list. It was on my list last time, but it was fairly low. But man, it's been rose up so much higher lately, and that is Buffalo Springfield, the debut album of the band, which also came out in 1966. I mean, we got 2 amazing albums back to back from 66, which I'll say 66 may be the greatest music year of all time. It's between 66 and 71 right now. Like, those 2 are neck and neck. It's the 2 best years in music. It has some of my favorite albums of all time. But yeah, Buffalo Springfield. Like, I remember I discovered this album when I was doing my first list 3 years ago, and this made it on my list. And of course, I already knew the big hit on here, which is my favorite song on the album. My favorite Buffalo Springfield song, for what it's worth. It's really the only big hit that they had, and why anybody probably ever heard of Buffalo Springfield. Again, they're not a band people really talk about. The albums they don't talk about, which is a shame because I also had Buffalo Springfield again lower on my list. There's only 3 albums, but the 2 albums, Buffalo Springfield and Buffalo Springfield again, 2 really good albums that everybody should check out and should be talked about more. And they could have been a great band, but they broke up after their second album, basically. And you have 2 absolutely amazing Hall of Famers on here. Stephen Stills, kind of the lead sings at least half of these songs and writes half of the songs on here. Then you also got Neil Young, who wrote the other half of the album. And he only sings on 2 of his songs, which is the reason why he eventually quit the band after the second album, because he was pretty upset that he only got to sing 2 of his songs. And he wrote like 5 songs or something on the album. And there are 6 songs. I think he wrote like 6 songs on the album. And they gave the other 4 songs to Richie Furay, who also plays guitar and sings in the band. So, which is really cool about the band. They're a great folk rock, one of the all-time great folk rock, I think, bands. And this is one of the all-time great folk rock albums. If you like the folk rock period, you definitely got to listen to this. That's why I love it, because I love this period of music. But yeah, when I first heard this, I was like, yeah, this is pretty good. You got For What It's Worth, incredible song. Love that ringing guitar that Neil Young does, the bing, and then something's happening here, bing. What it is isn't exactly clear. It's a cool kind of protest type song, but that chorus, stop now, what you doing now? Everybody look what's going down. Such a great chorus. And then and as the second verse goes, the backing vocals hit in. Ooh, people in the street. Ooh, oh, so good. And gets a little more rocking. I think there's kind of a bit of a guitar solo in there as well. But man, one of the best songs from the 60s period. I mean, everybody, if you're a fan of 60s music, you know the song. It was all over the radio. It was for me growing up listening to Oldie Station. Yeah, I always loved the song. And I actually got to hear him sing this live when I saw Crosby, Stills, and Nash back in 2004, I think. I saw him live. And it's so cool to hear him sing the song. It's so great. It's amazing. Yeah. Anyways, and so we were going through Buffalo Springfield recently. I did with Nick and Breyer on Nick's channel. And we went through all 3 albums and kind of talked about their career. And so I went through this album again. And that's when I was like, wow, this is actually, like, I didn't have it as 10 out of 10 before. But when I listened to it recently, I was like, yeah, this is a 10 out of 10 album. This is one of their greatest albums I've ever heard. So much good stuff. Folk rock. There's a little bit of country in here as well. Like I said, I love that you got Stephen Stills, Neil Young, and also Richie Furay. Like, you got 3 guys that can sing, all good singers. Richie Furay doesn't write on this album, but you got 3 guys that can play guitar. Stills and Young, some of the greatest guitar players of all time. So you got 2 top tier guitar players, and Richie Furay, I like his voice too. So you got 3 really good singers here. And so I love that dynamic of that, of the multiple great singers, songwriters, and guitar playing. I mean, like I said, this should have been one of the greatest bands of all time. Unfortunately, they didn't last very long. But anyway, so yeah, when I listened again, yeah, this went way high. It's here at number 32 on the list. Really jumped up from the last list because it's just so catchy. It's just these really super catchy, nice kind of folk rock songs. One of the greatest discoveries I've ever had in my life is when I listened to this album and heard Out of My Mind by Neil Young, sung by Neil Young. This is one of the greatest songs I've heard. Like I said, Neil Young gets to sing it. He wrote it. And I love Neil Young's voice. He has such a unique voice. This kind of high, kind of unique voice. And I just love this, it's a beautiful song, just very beautiful kind of ballad. And I love his Out of My Mind, and I can't take it anymore. I love that pause. He likes every time he goes bum 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 and pauses bum bum bum, like, oh. And then the backing vocals, and even overall great harmonies, great vocal work, just a beautiful song that's super catchy. And like it's my second favorite Buffalo Springfield song. Again, there's only 3 albums, but it's one of my favorite songs from this period. If I did my favorite songs from 1966, these 2 songs would be on my list of like one of the great songs from this period. And again, one of the great songs that no one probably ever heard of, that I say check out of My Mind. It's such a great song by Neil Young. But yeah, so much good stuff here. Sit Down, I Think I Love You is another great Stephen Stills song, super catchy. Sit down, I think I love you. Bump, bump, bump. Ah, so catchy, great. Another great Neil Young song, Flying on the Ground is Wrong, but Furay sings this, not Neil Young, but still it's one of my favorite all-time Buffalo Springfield songs. Again, I just love that chorus. And I'm sorry for letting you down. Bum, 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 bum. I can't remember the lyrics. And flying on the ground is wrong. Oh, it's one of those where, again, I love the harmonies on this album. Like, the harmonies are so good. I love that about this folk rock period. Great harmonies, catchy melodies. It's what I love. Burn is a really good song from Neil Young as well. That's the 2 songs he gets to sing on this album. And then another favorite of mine, written by, I think, Neil Young, but Furay sings it really well. Love Furay's voice on here. He has a really nice, easygoing voice. But do I have to come around and say it? Love this song. Again, this goes so high because like all these songs are like just these amazing deep cuts. But again, I love this chorus of, do I have to come right out and say it? You're looking fine, looking fine. Again, some great backing vocals, some great harmonies. It's a good love song. You know, he says, do I have to go right and say it? Like, I love you, you know, or something like that. It's a great song anyways. But yeah, definitely an underrated album. Needs to be checked out by more people, I think, and talked about as some of the greatest albums of all time. Buffalo Springfield's self-titled album. Here at number 32, so I have one more album to talk about. Number 31, and we're going back to Queen. My second favorite Queen album. We're talking about them twice on this album. It looks similar to the other album. The other one's white with a kind of similar backing. This one's black. This came out right after Night at the Opera, I believe. Yeah, so this is right after Night at the Opera again. So back-to-back, just absolutely amazing Queen albums. But yeah, Day at the Races is the name of this album. This came out in 76, a year after Night at the Opera, which came out in 75. So wow, 2 incredible years, 75 and 76. Have some really good stuff coming out. But yeah, crazy. Like, man, Night at the Opera has some of my favorite songs on it. But I don't know why. I like Day at the Races just a little bit more. And again, there's one more album that I like even better than those two. But yeah, this has, again, one really huge song on here, and then everything else is like just incredible. I would say more deep cuts. The huge song in here, which is a top 5 like favorite Queen song, is "Somebody to Love." "Somebody to Love" is just an amazing, I don't know what you say, pop song, and I just love the whole sentiment of, can anybody find me somebody to love? I mean, how many times have I said that in my life, and how many times have we all said that? You know, it's like, man, can anybody find me someone to love? Why can't I find somebody to love? You know, I felt that for a very long time in my life. Yeah, the piano playing is great. His vocals, some of the best vocals, and there's a great acapella moment in the song that just why I love it so much. I love acapella moments with great vocals and harmonies, and you get that in this song. Can you find me somebody to love? Find me somebody to love. Maybe not acapella, but it's like definitely like only the piano playing, and they're singing this, and they're just build up of find me some, and then again, Freddie Mercury, one of the greatest singers, or the greatest singer I think of all time, as far as rock bands, you know, go, greatest frontman of all time, and he just gets louder and louder, and can anybody find me? Somebody, can anybody find me? It's just so good, his vocals, some of his best vocal work of all time, and I love that song, "Somebody to Love," on here. But again, some great deep cuts. You Take My Breath Away, a beautiful ballad, just a beautiful song. You take my breath away, or something. I can't remember the melody, but it's a great melody. I get it mixed up with The Police because they have a song with the same name. But yeah, it's a beautiful song. Love that song. One of my favorite of their deep cuts. Also, Long Away, sung by Brian May. I think maybe written by Brian May, but Long Away is so good as well. Super catchy song with all their voices kind of singing together, basically. But yeah, just underrated song as well. Also, T. Toretta, Let's Clean Together, which is, I guess Bride tells me that was written for their Japanese fans because they were big in Japan. But man, another very underrated song. Very catchy. Tio Toretta, let us clean together. Yeah, it really rhymes really well. But yeah, it really works out. But then there's a lot of songs in here I didn't mention. There's some really great rock playing. I mean, come on, Queen. Some of the best rock playing you ever hear. Brian May, one of the great guitar players. I think the drumming is amazing, bass playing. Yeah, so you get a lot of stuff like Tie Your Mother Down is actually a pretty good rock song overall. White Man, pretty good rock song. Drowse, yeah. So even the rock songs are really helpful. I do like more of the pop ballads sometimes on these albums, but man, they can rock it out when they want to. I'd say my favorite songs are more the pop ballads, but the rock stuff is good too. Millionaire Wall, To You and I mean, so many great stuff on here. It's like one of those where, again, when you listen to it, you just go, oh yeah, Freddie Mercury is like the greatest of all time. He just really shows how great of a singer he is on here, and that's why it has to be high on my list. I'm just so amazed at Freddie Mercury singing, and he shows it on this album as well. So I have here at number 31, A Day at the Races. And that's the last album I'll talk about on this list. So we're getting into my top 30. Yeah, it just gets better and better with each album. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this. Please feel free to comment. You like any of these albums? You know these albums? What are your favorite albums out of this list? Love to hear your comments. And besides that, just thank you so much for watching this video. Thank you for liking it. And thank you to all my subscribers for supporting the channel. I appreciate you all and I hope you have a good day.